Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. In this video, I'm putting together my Project Life spread for the week of August 21st through August 27th, 2023. And I'm working with the August Stories by the Month kit from Ali Edwards. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so this week I'm working with the August Stories by the Month kit from Ali Edwards. And you see I only have one page protector here right now, and that's because I wanted to kind of talk you through my process before I got the camera out. So prior to getting the camera out, I did look through this kit. The 6x8 paper this month is this beautiful box here, and I don't want to use this in Project Life. Now, if you are exclusively using pocket pages, you can crop this down to 4x6 and have a 4x6 card that kind of like cuts off right about here. And you would have some journaling space and some floral. You could also use the bottom piece for the same type of 4x6 card. So this paper could be used in Project Life, but I'm not going to use it this month, or at least in the spread. And then this is a vellum sheet. It's just a pattern, so of course you can cut that up. I don't think that that's what I'm going to do though. What I do want to do is use all the cards. So there's these chipboard pieces, there's these word phrase strips, some ephemera here, or die cut pieces, and of course the stamp. So I'm going to put that to the side now and kind of talk you through my process. So what I originally had sitting in my album was I have this side where I have the 9 3x4 pockets. Now, this was from last week. So I need to use that layout on the left-hand side. Sometimes I plan some of my spreads in advance, so I keep track of this in my planner. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is my craft planner. It's a Hobonichi Techo Day Free, and I will link up at the eye my setup of this planner. But one of the things I have in here is tracking of my Project Life. And basically what I've done in here is keep track of the weeks and then what kit I plan to use, because sometimes I plan these weeks in advance. For example, the Let Go Story kit, which was the last week that I documented, was the week my daughter moved out to college. So I knew I wanted to use the Let Go Story kit for that week, which was August 14th through 20th. But at the time I planned it, I was still working back in like July, I think, in my Project Life, maybe even June. So I was way behind when that was happening, because right now it is October 7th and I am working on this spread, which is the end of August. So I do work a little bit behind, and I tend to have a lot of those weeks in the interim planned. So the Let Go Story kit, for example, I had planned that one already when I did my story planning for the Let Go kit. So I was not yet at that week. I didn't know very much about what was going to happen in my album, but I do need to identify the layout of page protectors. So I had identified that the left-hand side is going to have 2 4x6 pockets, and the right was going to be one of the 9 3x4s. If I write 2 4x6, I know that's the layout that has the 2 4x6 and 4 3x4s. So for this week, the August Stories by the Month kit, I knew I had the 9 3x4s on this side because the Let Go Story kit was already planned, but the next week I don't have a plan done yet. I know what I'm going to work with, but I don't have a layout. So this side could be whatever I want it to be. So in my album, I had originally had the pockets that had the 2 4x6 and 4 3x4s sitting there. So I went into the kit and I did what I showed you guys last process video. I think it was last process video, but I will link it up at the eye if you are curious, but a process video where I showed you what I did before I print my photos. So basically I had laid out, I knew I wanted to use that card for some journaling in one of the 4x6 pockets. I have some screenshots of text from my daughter that I also wanted to include. So I was thinking about putting those on a 4x6 card. I have this one I wanted to crop down for my title, but then I'm going to use the other part as a filler. And this is not necessarily where that one's going to go. It's definitely not, but I'm just counting the number of cards. And then I wanted to use all of these cards. So if I did this, that would leave me with 3 3x4 photos. And this is not the layout I'm going to use, but this was just how I kind of count pockets. So I had printed 3 3x4 photos. And then on the side, I would have room for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3x4 photos. But as I went through my photos, I found another 4x6 photo I wanted to include. And I thought, okay, you know, I want to put the screenshots on this card. I want to use the products from the kit. So this is using up the entire kit. And I want this 4x6 photo rather than 3x4. So I will just get the page protector that looks like this and has the 3 4x6 pockets. So then I went over to my stash to look for one of those, and turns out I'm all out of them. And I'm not going to just not work on my project while I order some and wait for the order to come. And I also don't really want to place an order right now because I don't want to pay shipping. That'd be the only thing I'd be ordering. So I decided to go into my stash of 12x12 page protectors, and I found one that has 6 4x6 pockets, and I decided to turn it into one that I could use. Now I could have made it, actually I couldn't have. I couldn't have made it this zigzag layout with the 2 4x6 and the 1 4x6. Actually, I think it might be the opposite, where it's like, no, maybe it is like this. It is like this, I think, where it's like the 3x4s and the 4x6s are zigzagged, which is a great layout. I couldn't do that with what I had, but what I did have in my stash was this 12x12, which had 6 4x6 pockets. So I turned it into a 9x12. You can see I just cut that off by I took some cards from my stash and just stuck them into this row of 4x6 pockets. And then I used my sewing machine. So these were just kind of placeholders to show me how big these pockets needed to be. So I didn't really have to measure. And then I just stitched with my sewing machine. I'm going to have to cut these threads off, but my sewing scissors are in the other room. So I can probably use my gold ones. So what I'm going to do is just kind of tie it in a knot. And yes, it doesn't look as perfect as the store-bought ones because you can see this thread here. You could do the fuse tool, but I have found that the fuse tool doesn't hold up that well over time, and it's kind of a pain to like pull it out, heat it up. So although I have one of those, I tend to just stitch it like this. I kind of like the homemade, like wonky look of it because it is more like personalized doing it this way. So I don't mind having a page protector that has the stitching. I don't love that the 3x4 or 4x6s are all in a row, but it's fine. So what I'm gonna do is kind of put these like this. Now my daughter's I have some screenshot texts for my daughter. It's like 2 screenshots. They are 4 inches tall, but they're narrower because they are the dimensions of a cell phone. And I'm just not going to show those because it was just a conversation with her while she was, you know, she's moved out to college. But I do want to include that in this spread. So I am going to just go ahead and like use that as a placeholder. I'm basically going to adhere them on top of there. And I might do a little bit of embellishing on the sides. I will show you guys that and you'll be able to see it in the finished spread. I asked her if she was okay with me sharing those online and she hadn't texted me back. So I just decided to go ahead and film this without sharing them because although I find them to be extremely adorable, she could potentially see them as embarrassing. So I'm not going to share those online, but they are just some screenshots of text messages. And that's a way that I'm kind of still including her in my album, even though she's not living here. So I cropped this one down and I'm going to use that as my title card. And then I'm going to use this one as like a filler card somewhere else. Then let's see, what else do I have here? I have this week, like not a lot was going on. I'm looking at my planner to see kind of like things that were going on this week. There really wasn't much big. It was the first day of school for my daughter, but I didn't really have a ton with that. I will probably do one of these moment stories about that. And then let's see, August 3 things. So this is always like a recap of the month. I'm going to go ahead and put this one in the middle because, at least to start, because I like the white, although this is white here. So I'm just kind of trying to balance everything. I got my hair done. I want to put that one maybe there. And then let's see, time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time. I love that sentiment and it's really something I kind of need to hear right now. I hit 5,000 followers on Instagram. Okay, so I kind of need a story for this one. So I'm just kind of thinking, what are my bigger stories? Okay, so I'm looking over at my planner and there's really not a lot of big stories this week. I pretty much had a lot of little things going on. I spent a lot of time working on my December daily content, which if you missed that, I had a whole feature for the entire month of September on the blog at Allie Edwards sharing some content related to December daily prep and planning. So if you are curious about that project or you're curious to see my content and you've missed it, I will link it down below in the description box. But I started working on that this week. But the main story I think was my daughter's first day of school. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and use this to journal about her first day of school. And then let's see here. This one I think will probably just be a random, I don't know, I'll think of a smaller story. So next to this one, I definitely want to include a photo. This photo does not have a story. So I need 3 stories here. I need a longer story here. I need a story here. And then these are recaps from the month. Let's see, I'm just gonna kind of lay things out. There we go. So I like that on this spread, I have pretty much photo card kind of balanced almost entirely. The only thing I don't love is that I have like a photo or card in a card like this. A lot of times I would like to do it where the photo card goes across the spread. But remember, this one's gonna have some screenshots on top of it. This one is white and this one is cream. So I do like that balance. I might actually move this one here and this one here, which I could tell the story of, you know, just getting my hair done Saturday morning there and, you know, going more blonde again. So I might like that. And then let's see, let's go into the products here. So I have these chipboard pieces and I'm gonna go ahead and open them. So these don't really stay in the backers anymore. So I tend to keep them in the plastic till I'm ready to use them. But let's see, bring on the blooms. So that's kind of late for where I live. That's more of like an earlier in the year. So I'm not really gonna keep that with August probably. Let's see, August adventure. I didn't really go on any adventures this week. Stuff we do in August. Again, there's not really like an Augusty thing. Let's see, I do want to put one like on here. So I think I'm gonna do like maybe the butterfly. I like this one on this photo of my cat. Let's see. Or maybe the chill out on the photo of my cat. That's nice. Adore this could be for my coffee and scones. Okay, so I think, and then actually I could do this or stuff we do in August for December daily, because although it is December, it is something that comes up in August, right? So I like that. I'm thinking I'm not going to use these ones, but although this one could be good on here or actually on that one. Okay, so I'm going to save these ones. I'm going to just put them to the side because maybe I will end up using them. But what I don't love now are that these two are next to each other. So I'm going to just go ahead and move this one over here and move this guy here because I just didn't like them lined up. Here, at least they're like zigzagged. These two are next to each other, but they're like in different spots on the photos. So I'm okay with that. Then I'm gonna go ahead and open these up and see if there's anything in here I want to use. Okay, so these are like just little die cuts, which might be fun to kind of layer. So this one has a label. So I think I'm gonna put that one in here for a title. And then like this is the same as that. Some of these kind of match those, so I might not want to put them on the same spread. Beauty in this season. Let's see, adore this. Like I do love this for, maybe I'll do this like this because I was very excited. I hit 5,000 followers on Instagram and it actually like popped up with like a message. So I screenshotted that. Just trying to see if any of these like kind of look good, like layered. Thinking like I could layer some of these like that and then put word phrase strips on top. Like that would look really cute. And then this one, kind of want to repeat it, but I'm just, although I do like it on there. I like one on there. So let's see, let's do this one on here. Which that one right there kind of matches this paper. but I don't want everything so matchy-matchy. So like, although this one is really nice, it matches, like the text is the same as this and the pattern in the background is the same as that. So I don't probably want to include these all on the same project. But I do like that everything kind of coordinates. I also really like this one for that if I don't want to put anything on top of there. But I have these two, so I'm thinking I want one more. So let's see, maybe like put this one here. And that way I can do some word phrase strips on those. I'm thinking I can use the green, but I also probably want like white. So I'm gonna go over into my stash and pull some white word phrase strips. And then I'm gonna go ahead and start putting this spread together. Okay, so I went and got some word phrase strips and I'm sitting down here to start putting things together. I usually start with my title card. I don't know why, but I do. And so I added that label sticker from, or I guess it wasn't a sticker, it was a die cut, and used my rolling date stamp to add my dates on there. I do that most of the time for my title card. I just use my rolling date stamp. Occasionally I get a little more creative with it and try some different techniques for adding the date. And now that I'm doing this voiceover, I'm thinking I kind of want to do that. So I will think about that in the coming weeks. On this photo of me, I went and got my hair done this week and got more kind of blonde redone in it. And I wanted to highlight that with this photo here. So I added one of the die cuts and some of the word phrase strips I pulled over. And then I also pulled over these hearts. They're little chipboard hearts. They were from Felicity Jane, which is no longer in business now, but they were a very fun company. And so I added one of those on there. It's just a good basic for my clusters on this spread. You guys know, if you watch my videos, that I tend to bring over a few different embellishments to pull from for my embellishment clusters. And so this week I'm using these word phrase strips and those chipboard hearts and the die cuts from the set, from the kit, as well as the chipboard pieces from the kit. So on this photo of my breakfast here, I added a die cut, I added a chipboard piece, I'm adding word phrase strips, and then I think, let's see, I'm just putting everything down and lining it up so that you can read the word phrase strips, but they are still layered a little bit. And then I added a chipboard heart and some tiny attacher staples. Again, I'm going on to this card here and doing embellishments. For that one, I'm just adding one of the chipboard pieces. And then here I'm doing my August reflection cards. So these cards have come in every single month of the Stories by the Month. It's a repeated element. And I'm using them to highlight 3 things that's kind of like a reflection for the month. And I think, I don't know if it was last month or the month before, but I had used this alphabet stamp set, which is one of my favorite go-to stamp sets. And I have it linked down in the description box below if you are interested in purchasing the same set. I got it from Amazon. But I really liked how I had stamped out some of the things for these highlights in the past. So I did that on this card here again. Then I pulled over my September Stories by the Month kit just to see if there was anything kind of fall related, related to back to school, because this was the first day of school for my daughter. While I was working on this video, she actually texted me and said, I can share these screenshots online. So I just went ahead and pulled them over and put them down on this 4x6 card. I'm using one of the stamps from the kit that says memories to stamp along the edge of those screenshots. And this is about the first time that she was doing laundry. I was kind of talking her through it via text, and I added another word phrase strip on there. I have that card, the 3 things, over to the side. I'm going to go back to it later, but now I'm working on this one here. I decided to layer a couple of the word phrase strips at the top, and then again I'm bringing over this stamp set. Once I bring out the alpha stamps, I like to use them in various spots on the same spread just to kind of tie it all together. They are time consuming to stamp things out. You can see you're stamping out one letter at a time, but I do have a show up in the background while I'm working on this, and I'm just kind of enjoying the process. This is sped up quite a bit though, so this probably took me about an hour in real time to put it together once I have everything already printed out and cut out at my desk. So it does take a decent amount of time, especially when I'm doing the stamping, but I enjoy this process and I like setting aside time to work on it, usually about once a week. I'm doing my journaling here about the first day of school. I'm looking over to my planner off camera where I have written down my daughter's schedule and a little bit about her first day of school. This was the first time I didn't get a first day of school picture because she's not here. So I don't have that first day of school picture for her, but it's okay. I asked her to send me one and she didn't, but that's okay. I'm going back to this 3 things card and writing a little bit more. So what I had done for my highlights was a shopping day. We did some back to school shopping. I stamped out a Catterskill Falls, which was a hike that I went on, and then college move-in and the start for summer. So then I'm moving on to this photo of my kitchen. I just added some embellishments, again, doing a similar embellishment cluster. I added a chipboard piece onto that other half of that title card. That's just another reminder that if there's a 4x6 card that's a pattern card, you can very easily crop it into 2 3x4 cards and put it in 2 different pockets on the same spread. And by doing that, it really kind of ties the spread together from the left to the right. Now I'm moving on to these moments card. This is a 4x6 card that has space for you to add 3 different stories. And what I ended up doing was stamping out 3 things that were stories from this week and then writing a little bit on each of them. So the first one was about the December daily content. So if you have seen, I did a whole feature on the Allie Edwards blog during the month of September on December Daily and December Daily Prep. So I had started working on that during this week. So there was a lot of December Daily stuff going on, even though it is August. And so I wanted to document that. You can see I also have that picture of my December Daily albums in that 4x6 pocket. I considered not including that in the spread because it is for December, but I decided I wanted to do it anyways. The center one, I stamped out the word adjustments, and that's just because this was the first week with my daughter back, moved out to school. She moved out in the middle of the previous week, and she was starting school this week. So she was adjusting to a new school, to being in college, to living on her own. And I was adjusting to being an empty nester. So I journaled a little bit about that in that middle box. I think I could have written a ton more than what I ended up writing. But this being Project Life, I don't get into a lot of detailed journaling. I tend to save that for my more reflective spreads in my mini me album. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will link up at the eye. I just shared a mini me flip through. And so you can go and check that out to see what I'm talking about. And then in that final box, I just stamped out little moments. You guys know that I like to have a journaling card of just bullet point little things from the week. And I didn't have a spot for that on this spread, so I designated this third box for that. This card did have space for you to add the dates at the bottom, and I ended up just not doing it because these weren't specific dates. These were general stories from this entire week, and I didn't want to just stamp like the range of dates for the week, so I just left that part blank. It's totally fine. I don't need to fill out all of the boxes on the card, and that's just a reminder that you don't need to you can make the card work for you. If it has a dates box and you don't want to put a date, or a location box and you don't want to put a location, you can just leave it blank. Doesn't really matter. So I think that's the end. Oh, I forgot to adhere this one chipboard piece. So I'm just adhering the chipboard piece and another one of the die cuts and some word phrase strips, just because this was a 4x6 photo. So I wanted it to be a little bit have a little bit of a larger embellishment cluster, not just the chipboard piece by itself. And of course, adding my chipboard heart and my staple. So that wrapped up this spread. I really like how this one came together. I really enjoy working with the Stories by the Month kits in my Project Life album. These are great basic kits if you are just getting started with this project. I highly recommend the Stories by the Month kits because they are very general themes and they work very well for everyday life storytelling. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. This is a look at that final spread coming together. Here you go. And if you can read those text messages from my daughter, they are actually very funny. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I will see you guys all in the next one. Thank you. Bye.